All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this webinar by PIMvendors.com. I'm Stefan Spijkers. I'm co-founder of PIM Vendors, and with our company, we help you with your product data challenges. Today, we're going to dive into one of the results of good product data management, which is a consistent omnichannel experience for your customers. But to get to that, you need to get all the different puzzle pieces in place, and we help customers with getting that process in place, getting tools in place, and helping you and your team get to the most efficient process and most effective process as possible. Within the world of PIM, we've seen lots of developments. I think AI is definitely one of the topics, but even AI and all the other technologies like PIM or MDM all support that same goal, which is getting more value, providing more value for your customers. And one of the ways to do that is to provide a very rich product experience and getting all that input in place and making that onboarding process really efficient, making that enrichment process very efficient and effective, maybe with AI and with a PIM tool. But in this case, it's about the publication part and about the different experiences your customers might have on the different channels, be that print, be that an offline experience in the point of sale system or in the stores, or different online experiences from marketplaces, your e-com store, an app. There's definitely multiple channels that we can explore and will explore there today as well. So today I'm joined by Luc and by Emil. And before we dive really deep into the topic, and before I let them introduce themselves, we'll get to that. Just some quick housekeeping. We'll be recording this session, so if you have to leave early, no worries. We'll share a full recording with you afterwards. If you joined late, well, you didn't miss much yet, but we will send you the recording so you can check that as well. And we'll also we have a comment field on the right-hand side. So if you have any questions or feedback, or you want to respond or want us to respond to a challenge you're facing or a trend you see developing, or something that you've seen a competitor do and maybe you have some questions about how to achieve that or how to copy that or why they're doing that, drop that into the comment field on the right-hand side, and we'll weave that into our conversation here today as well. So if you want to get interactive, please use that. If you have questions that you don't want to share publicly, that's also fine. You'll probably be able to find Luc, Emil, and me on LinkedIn for sure, but I'll share their profiles as well, so you can contact them directly. I'll say after the call, not directly in this webinar. Having said that, let's do a quick round of introductions. Luc, if you could go first and introduce yourself and maybe Katana PIM.
Yes, thanks for having us here, Stefan. Thanks for this introduction. My name is Luc Smeets. I'm the managing director of Katana PIM. Katana PIM is a Dutch-based PIM solution. We started developing already a few years ago. We have a strong background in e-commerce, did a lot of custom-built e-commerce projects, and then start developing our own PIM solution. About 4 or 5 years ago, we made a strategic decision to focus on being a PIM, because I believe in 100% focus. And we start developing a easy to use, easy to integrate, and easy to implement PIM system, since we really believe that we are part of the commercial digitalization companies are making, with a strong focus on the SMB market, starting in the Benelux, but in the end, the dream is to become the worldwide default PIM. I don't hear you.
That doesn't help. Yeah, Emil, thanks. Can you take over, Emil, and introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course, and thanks for having me as well, and 0xCrew. So I'm Emil, I'm the Chief Commercial Officer for 0xCrew. I've been it for the past 6 years, and as 0xCrew, we are a performance agency that focuses on supporting brands to grow online through kind of like all the different online channels, starting with your own web shop, going to marketplaces like Amazon, but also local hero marketplaces like Bull or like Otto, including also the social platforms like TikTok, like Meta. So basically, what we say is the landscape is changing. Online, the consumer is everywhere, and what you as a brand need to do is know who your target audience is, where they are, and make sure that you are more visible than your competitors. And if you're more visible, then in the end, that will also lead to more sales. And of course, to get more visibility, you need good content and assets, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that sounds easy, right? You make it sound easy, let's put it that way. But I think we all have enough gray hairs to know that that is not easy at all in the digital space, and especially with that wide range of channels that brands have to manage and have to keep consistent. I quickly, well, I'm curious what the audience faces as challenges when it comes to managing this wide range of channels, and then maybe even specifically, as you already mentioned, Emil, in Europe with all the different local hero marketplaces. Like, it's not just Amazon that you have to sell on. It's on Bull.com, it's on Otto, it's on all the local heroes as well. I'm curious what you see in the market as the main challenges when it comes to that consistent experience. Maybe you first, Luke.
Yeah, what we often see is that companies struggle at the start because they are using different spreadsheets or different files or different applications. Especially what we see, all the departments have stored their data pretty good in their application. But if you look to product data, it's a cross-departmental data because everyone has his or her part of the product information. And so that results in different file types, different files, different spreadsheets, different applications, and all they have some part of the product information. And then, yeah, there is automatically some inconsistency, or you're never sure whether you are talking about the last version of the information. So yeah, we see a lot of these kind of challenges to our customers, and that's also why they come to us.
Yeah, yeah. Emil, do you have any? I mean, you're more on the. This is the PIM is basically the foundation where that starts. The Excel files. You're more in the outbound part of this. What do you see? Do you see the same, or do you see anything different?
Yeah, well, I'm always surprised when I'm talking with clients of us or new clients. When we are focusing on making impact for our clients, we always say like, okay, we begin at the back to make impact and generate revenue in a consistent and sustainable way. We always start with the back end, the infrastructure, from logistics to finance, but especially also the content. And if we're then talking about content, I'm always surprised that, I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3 out of 5 clients that we talk with are like, using Excel as a PIM. I'm like, yeah, it's 2025. Come on, guys, need to step up your game a little bit. So that is kind of like the same that Luke mentioned. And if you take a look at that, like I said, there are constantly new channels popping up. And if you want to have brand consistency, then you need to have a single source of truth where your organization logs into, uploads the right content, and from there it's basically being pushed and distributed to the right channels. And I think that is basically the first part is getting the right basic information, getting the right attributes, titles, getting that into your PIM system. And then the second step is basically looking at, okay, you have that in different languages, but also if you take a look, if you're selling on Bol in the Netherlands and Amazon in the Netherlands, your title build-up should be different, because there's a different search, there are different maybe keywords that you want to mention. So yeah, there are all these types of things that you want to customize based on the specific channels and the demand and the questions, basically what the consumers ask from you on that channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's also what we see. We also often also people are looking up to the project of implementing all these data or the PIM or the total process Emil calls. But I totally agree also with Emil. Just start with the basics. You don't have to be directly at the A level. Just start at the C or B level, and then you can upgrade it. So, but make a start. Bring the basics in place, and then you can work on the data enrichment, and then you can improve and improve and improve.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is still a struggle, I think, for many. I mean, because again, I said you make it sound easy, right? And maybe starting small is that first step. But when I look at my own customer journeys or my own recent customer journeys, like I'm looking for a new desktop monitor, right? I saw the same monitor on different websites. I'm comparison shopping a bit to get to the best price, but it's all the same price on every different platform. But as a product data nerd that I am, I was comparing sort of different, well, I was looking for specification, like does it have power delivery for my laptop, et cetera, et cetera. And different sites said different things and linked it to different series of the same monitor by the same brand, but with different features. Like I ended up, like I was on Amazon and I ended up more confused than I expected to be. So I actually went to the manufacturer's site to get to the actual result, but I'm still not sure if it's the thing that I want or the thing that I need, and that is going to. So still haven't bought the monitor yet, right? Because I was just not entirely sure if it would fit. I'm curious if you see those practical issues as well, because I'm pretty sure that it is all from one manufacturer distributing it directly to these consumer channels. There's no distributor in between, at least not that I'm aware of. And even there, you see this as they have this challenge.
I think it also depends. If the brand themselves take ownership of the content, then they might face some technical difficulties because they do not have a good PIM system. But what you also sometimes see is that brands are not active themselves on an Amazon or on local hero marketplaces like Otto, for instance. And then what they do is that they sometimes even don't know that their products and their brand is being sold on that specific channel, and it's being sold by a distributor or a wholesaler that basically doesn't see the relevance or doesn't give priority to optimizing the content. And I think it's very important, like you said, Stefan. If the customer journey is like, okay, you need to fill out these attributes, and you do not fill those attributes, and a customer uses the refinement and the specifications and then clicks, then your product gets lost. If you do not fill out how much inch your monitor is, then someone can push a button and refine there, and then you're not being found. I think most channels and marketplaces have kind of like the mandatory attributes and the attributes that are nice to have, so to say. But basically, the more content and the better your content is, the better the consumers can find your products. And even if you take a look at the implementation of Amazon AI, the Rufus and Cosmo, Amazon will also use your product data to give better AI suggestions. So the better you give that information and enrich it with the right information, yeah, the better your product will be found.
Yeah.
And if you're a better, your product is better found and ranks better than your competitors, then in the end you will sell more. But that is kind of like the logical things that maybe a lot of brands are still missing.
Yeah. But what would you recommend to like this monitor manufacturer, right? It's selling on 5 different marketplaces. It doesn't look like they have I'm not looking at a big name brand. Actually, it's a smaller brand. So what would you recommend to a manufacturer like that who is indeed maybe not able to manage the product data on, well, used to be unable to manage the product data on all of those different channels and all of those different local heroes? What would you recommend to them? Would you say like, hey, take this to yourself and start owning that product experience on all those different channels? Or would you say work closely with your distributor? What would you recommend to this monitor manufacturer?
Yeah, for me, I'm always really straightforward with that. Just take ownership yourself, and you can say like, yeah, why is my content not good here, and then tell the distributor to do it. I always say, who can tell the best story about the brand and the products? Who can tell it better than the brand themselves, right? So yeah, take ownership and know who your target audience is, what the most important challenges are, where they're at, and make sure that your brand is your brand story is told consistently, your product information is good, you have the right textual information, you have the right images, you have the right video. Yeah, that is, again, it's 2025. It's not beginning 2000 of like, yeah, take ownership. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the technology is there to support you. No, it's no longer, it's not that you have to manage every channel apart, like in the 2020s, but it's 25. You know, there's enough technology. You can really optimize your operation and optimize the management of that content. So it hasn't to be also that big hassle, but just organize it well for yourself.
But I mean, still, right? You guys are making it sound easy, but I'm selling on 5 different, like this is a French monitor manufacturer. Gives you an idea how much research I did into this monitor actually, but it's a great use case. They're from France. They're selling this on Dutch websites. They're selling it on Amazon, so they need to do translations. Maybe there's different regulations per country. It's all in the EU, but right, there's lots of challenges here where yeah, it might not be as easy as you guys. Well, is it as easy as you guys say it is? Our customers still face that challenge every day. Like, yes, of course, they know that the solution might be within their reach, but just getting it is still, even in 2025, a challenge, as you see in real life.
I think that's just what it is with most. It doesn't have to be difficult, but you just have to do it. And I think that's also so we can deliver the technology, but that's also why you need partners like 0xCrew for getting things done. Because as a company, you have so many priorities, so it's hard to choose. So then that's also why we advise, and that's why we also always work with partners. Choose the right partner to support you and getting the things done. I think that's the biggest, and that's also where you make the difference, and that's also where you get ahead of your competition.
Yeah, I think it's about capabilities and capacity. Capacity is the resources and time. Exactly like Luc said. Yeah, some brands do not have the capacity and the people to do it. Sometimes, or often, too often, I see that there's kind of like an account manager responsible for the content. And it's like, yeah, an account manager has a lot of other things to do to drive sales and doesn't have any experience with content. And that is kind of like the capabilities to be, we have content specialists in-house that know what drives traffic and conversion on those different channels, and what the most important drivers and levers are to push on the different channels, and to do keyword research on Amazon, on Bol, optimize the product so that it's better than the competition, and also organically better found.
And I also agree on Emil. You know, it's we are really data driven nowadays. That's also what we say also with everything, also with the upcoming of AI, agentic commerce, etc., etc. We are becoming more and more data driven. So I think it's good that also data is pointed out within a company. So take it seriously. It's not something you do. You do it as an extra. What Emil mentions, you are account manager and you do it a little bit extra in the lost hours. No, data today, managing your data is serious business, and it has to be a management topic.
Yeah, but that brings me to sort of is this just a one-off thing you set up, where you just get all that data in, you get the tooling in, and it's fire and forget?
I think a lot of that's a good statement, because I think that's what 90% of the companies think. It's like if you have the content online, then you're done, right? I think there are multiple things. One of the things is that on Amazon, the times that we see that the content gets changed overnight is that's crazy. The Amazon is a real beast, where there are constantly content loads going wrong. That on say today I optimize the content, the titles or bullet points, images. I take a look tomorrow, and then it's good. And then I take a look at the day after tomorrow, and then it's back again to the old way, and it's like, where's my content? And so it's about getting the content online, but also monitoring, especially on Amazon, if the content stays online. So that is one of the first things. And then second, it's also looking at the optimization or seasonal preparations. Amazon, you can also insert back-end keywords. So for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Father Day gift, you can add certain content elements seasonal, so that your products can also be found on those things, like Mother's Day or Father's Day. Yeah, if you have kind of like a gifting type of product, then you want to add that on the certain seasonal moments, of course.
Yeah, but like if we go into sort of the and this is also mentioned by Robert on LinkedIn, who agrees with us. That's good. But taking what he says a step further, like he mentions, it is too often disconnected between different departments. You have, like, as we said, we have category management or account management, we have social media, we have maybe the marketing department, the newsletter department, the e-commerce department. How would you get that consistent customer experience from a organizational perspective?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think there's not a one-size-fits-all answer there. But in the end, if you're talking about content, you're talking about the brand. So the brand marketing should be have the ownership, and ownership doesn't mean that they are operationally that they are executing. But yeah, if you're responsible for a brand, or you're a brand marketeer or a brand manager for a certain brand or company, then you want to know that the story that you want to tell about the brand is being told to the end consumer. And so for me, it would always be marketing that would be leading and should be working closely together, maybe with the e-commerce department, to have the conversation of, hey, this is from a brand perspective, this is how we want to communicate it. But if you take a look at the e-commerce department, they know like, hey, we need this and this and this information. And so it should be a close collaboration between marketing and e-commerce to get the right information there, knows what drives the consumer on the different channels, and then make it available.
Yeah. Luke, how do you see successful customers bringing together those different departments and those different stakeholders?
Yeah, in fact, exactly the same. But from our point of view, it's more from a technology point of view, and that's also why we facilitate those integrations. So what we often see when we talk to customers is that they think that everybody is going to work within the PIM solution, but that's not what it is from our point of view. We facilitate that the right data is in the right place at the right moment. So that makes it also that every department is working in their own applications, for instance, or everybody is responsible for their part of the product information. And by supporting the right integrations, you distribute the right data to the right place at the right moment. And by creating that single source of truth, it's possible to have one or two to have responsibilities on the quality of the data. So in that, I agree with Emil. Yeah, someone has to be responsible in the end, and in the end, it's marketing who's responsible, the way of talking, the story you tell, etc. But all the others within the company are responsible for their part. And so, for instance, pricing is not done in your PIM, but pricing is always done in your commerce tool because it's sales who decides to whom they are selling and to what price they are selling. They know who's the customer at that moment. Marketing can't do that. And that's what I mean. Everybody has his own responsibility and manage the right responsibilities at the right time, at the right place, in the right application.
Yeah. So
and then when you say we that it looks so easy, but yeah, if it's designed well, then it looks easy. But that's where the thinking is, and that's also where the implementation is, and that's also where you make the difference in setting up the right configuration together and think about your strategy and think who's going to do what and where do I want to sell, what's my audience, how I want to target them, etc., etc.
Yeah, and maybe you also see that, Stefan, at PIM vendors, right? It's like who in the organizations or is involved with choosing a certain PIM. Why are you using it? What is your goal? What features do you need in kind of like selecting a PIM system? And maybe also there you need to have more attention for, okay, it's not about implementing a tool and then thinking that the tool will solve all problems. The times that I've seen that in organizations is like, here's your tool, and now everything is solved. That it's kind of like the beginning. You can have kind of like a nice Red Bull Formula One car in front of my house, but if I step into the car, then I won't be winning any Formula One races, right?
No, but that's, yeah, I mean, I agree with you.
Do not underestimate yourself, Emil. But
yeah. Well, we see that way too often still. But I think it comes down to what you said in the beginning, Emil. It's a capacity and capability issue where if you bring everyone together around that central platform, where I do think, I mean, it's in the name, PIM vendors, but I do believe that platform where it all comes together is the PIM. That's where the foundation starts for that product data process. And it brings together the different roles, the different people involved in the organization, and different people bring different perspectives to maybe even the same product, but to different products or different categories. having that capacity, sorry, having that capability on that platform, on that technology layer, then still means there's maybe a capacity issue where you need to map it to the different output channels, enrich it with the right content, bring that specific Amazon Marketplace knowledge on how it works, how you can leverage what you have on the platform and make that even relevant in these timely things. Like, for example, Black Friday is coming up, as you said, like make sure you're included there in the right settings. And it's interesting that you say, hey, as a brand owner, you need to own that experience there as well, and facilitate that experience there as well. And I'm curious if you have any examples of customers that do this well, or that you've helped improve from using Excel, which, I mean, not to be dismissive of Excel, it solves lots of problems, right? But examples of people that went from using Excel to excelling on their product consistency experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have multiple clients, a lot of brands that sell on multiple channels. So getting their content, for instance, through Katana PIM on Shopify for their own web shop, getting it on Amazon, Bol, MediaMarkt, all those different marketplaces to the social channels. I think one of our brands that really started out when we had the conversation with okay, how are we going to go to launch on the Amazon. Amazon has 10 countries now, so it was always talking about the EU5 of Amazon, the big 5 European countries, and now there are 5 emerging countries: Ireland, Netherlands, Belgium, Sweden, and Poland. And we were really talking about, okay, how are we going to get the consistency and the product information on all of those channels? And then the solution is to get the single source of truth in the PIM system, and then from there get it on all those different Amazon countries, 10 different countries, and that saves a lot of time of getting new products up, because if you take a look, the assortment of most of our clients also changes over time. So they start with a core assortment. There are always new product introductions, and if you create kind of like a good way of working on, if a new product comes in, we need these and these assets, will be filled out in the PIM, will be sent out to the different channels, and then I think over time what was very interesting is that they started out with, say, not the right assets. So no USP images, just basic images. And we said, like, if you want to be successful on Amazon, you need USP images, you need lifestyle images. So we kind of like gave that information to the brand. They talked with their marketing department, and they said, if we want to launch a product on Amazon, we need this from a content perspective, textually, these images, these videos, and that became kind of like the new standard. And from there, put it in the PIM, get it live on the different channels, monitor if it stays live, and then see how you can optimize it. Basically get, we call it a 9+ listing online, and then A/B test with the main image, etc., etc. And I was thinking also about brands that are like, that's a lot of work, 10 different countries. If you have an assortment of maybe 1,000 or 10,000 SKUs. And what we do there is also really a data-driven approach. So say you're a company selling on Amazon Germany and UK, and you want to scale that to the 8 other countries. What we also do there is just basically use AI tools to have not so good translation, but okay and understandable in the other language. just push it to the channel, then you have the products live. It's always better to have the products live on the channel with mediocre content so that the consumer can find it. And then if you take a look within your Amazon dashboard and in your Amazon data, then you will see what products are popping up, what products are getting the eyeballs, are getting traffic. And then it becomes very easy to prioritize products to optimize from mediocre to a 9+. Because yeah, basically if I have a list of 10,000 products that are online, I filter on what products get a lot of views, but the conversion is lacking. Then that gives a priority to start with those products, and from there it's really kind of like pragmatic optimizing and prioritizing the content to, in the end, of course, yeah, make the most impact in the least time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that you say just get started, right? Even if it's shitty content, just get your product out there to get the data in. I think that's sort of the key thing here is get exposure, get data, get your products out there as quickly as possible, and then start optimizing the whole flow, I would say.
Yeah, because if you take a look at what drives a sale on a channel, it's about the pricing, it's about the delivery time, and it's about the content. So if you already have kind of like a good delivery time and a good pricing and mediocre content, then you're already more than halfway there, right? So then get the sales and then optimize.
Yeah. How do you see that, Luke, on your end? Like, would you say a PIM is not a thing where usually you can just iterate from? So there is a certain baseline investment that you need to do to get your process and tooling landscape in order, as at least we have experience with customers that went the more iterative route. But still, I think you can just publish using Excel while you're building the PIM in parallel, and the structured process in parallel. What do you think about getting the data?
Yeah, well, I see two things. That's what I earlier mentioned. You not have to be directly that A or A+, but you start on the C level and grow to B and go then to the A. So that's 100% what we always say. Rome isn't built in one day. So please take your time, trust the process, and follow your path. And exactly, and that's also getting things done. You have just to start first and then get it done. But if you don't start, there's also nothing to get done. So I totally agree on that growth path. Let's say it like that. And on the other hand, also where we're talking about also, having it as the management topic, also earlier mentioned, but you also asked some examples for customers. But yeah, what we really see is at these customers where this topic and data, content, or whatever you name it, or how you phrase it, but if it's a management topic and it's taken time for it and time and money to invest, we see these companies we see succeed. So we also have that customer. Yeah, they saw their content on different marketplaces, but they were not in control of their content. Also the problem we mentioned earlier. And then they decided, okay, we are now moving ahead. It's 25. Data is king, content is king, so that needs to be in place. Okay, then we have to invest in that. And then they made time for it, and then they started investing in a PIM solution. They also came from Excel sites, sheets, and then start investing in a PIM and building it up. And nowadays they are a leading company and they are totally in control of their content across all channels, all shops they have. But they shouldn't have been there when they not started a few years ago, and they didn't make that a management decision that it was important and that they had to save time and money for it.
Yeah, but that. I mean, again, makes it sound easy, but it is hard because you're balancing those two things at the same time. quickly, roughly translate your current product database in Excel and put that on Amazon? Or should you actually spend the day researching PIM solutions to really make that whole structure and get that structure in place? And
Well, you don't have to search all day. You could just go to katanapim.com and then that's saved. And
true.
and
And
then
you ask Neil to
a
help
day
you with
later
the
you
whole-
start. So
True,
no,
true.
but I don't think it hasn't. But truly, it hasn't to be that difficult. You know, it's just get started. And perhaps it sounds strange, but in the end, it doesn't also matter so much what PIM system you choose, because it isn't the PIM system that makes the difference. It's you that makes a difference in the end. It's not the tool, but it's the organization, the people, and how you do it. And if you and you have the right partner, and that you really get the things done. That's the difference.
Yeah, and I think what we as a company always look at with our clients is scalability. And an Excel can work on 1 or 2 channels with a small assortment that's fixed. But if you want to scale with a bigger assortment to a lot of more channels with a lot of more assets, yeah, then Excel isn't the way to go. It's a good way to start, but yeah, looking for scalability is the way forward, and that is basically looking at your technology stack. There are tools for Google advertising. You can use Google PMax. For Amazon advertising, we use PackView. It's the combination of tooling, software used by someone that has the capability, that knows what to do with it, that drives efficiency and drives also impact in a sustainable and scalable way.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, yes, of course, we should all just go ahead with with implementing Katana PIM, but then what's the use for PIM vendors helping you select the best fitting PIM? But
I think that is also always the. There are a lot of different software solutions out there, and I think it's always choosing what the right fit is for the organization at the moment. You're totally right with that, Stefan. It's you need to know where you're currently at, where do you want to go, what are important features that you as an organization need, how do you look at pricing, how do you take a look at the UX of a tool, how friendly is it with APIs, how friendly is it with integrating in your own systems. And that should be kind of like a checklist. That's well, you can tell it better than me than I can, Stefan. But and from there, it's kind of like rating different tools and then making a decision, right?
No, for sure. Like I just wanted to say, like what we see in practice is also analysis paralysis, right? Where you can keep comparing different PIM solutions with us or without us, and getting that also means staying stuck and not moving forward with your processes and your tooling landscape. And there have been cases where we just said to customers like, hey, just go ahead with PIM A or Katana PIM, even though you know that might not be the most perfect solution, or might not be the solution for the coming 10 years. But just select it now, get started with PIM. I think that's also very important to start to experience a more processed and more structured process, and experience all the different elements of a dedicated product information management solution. And then in 3 years, you can reevaluate, or in 5 years, you can reevaluate, because yeah, you can do 6 more demos and send out 20 more checklists to vendors. You'll still be comparing PIMs 6 months from now, maybe even 12 months from now, without actually reaping the benefits. Like I think it's an agile proverb where done is better than perfect, right? So just get it done. And that was also the point I was making, because customers will find us to help with their product data processes. I'm not worried about our pipeline at all, even though everyone is welcome to do a PIM selection with us. That's also perfectly fine. But just getting started and just getting that muscle, that PIM muscle built and used is, I think, the first step. And then you can build from there. You can get the data, as you said, Emil. You can get, you can learn where your processes don't work for you, as Luc already mentioned. So, yeah.
Yeah, and also think about tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, and don't stay in the hassle of today, because when you stay in the hassle of today, that, yeah, then you don't make a decision, and you stay working in your Excel sheets. But think where do you want to go tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, and there you have to point out your decision on, I think. And I think that's also something where you can help with.
Yeah, I also think 1 month using a PIM system will give you more insights than 6 months of selecting a PIM, and then someone within the organization says like, yeah, but what about this or what about that, etc., etc. And that's indeed, be pragmatic, think about it, make a selection based on certain key features or other things that are really important for the organization. But then just go ahead and try it. I think that yeah, most of the time you just start, and then maybe in a couple of years you experience, and then you know that you need something else or that it's a good fit. But yeah, it's always better than being stuck in a theoretical discussion.
Yeah. Okay, back to consistency, because that's I think where all this leads, and higher conversion rates, because customers like myself don't have different questions on different or different information on different channels, and are left with more questions than answers in the end. What I'm curious about is how you would sort of like picture yourself in the shoes of the e-commerce manager or the IT manager or the marketing manager that, well, it's at the end of the day today. So tomorrow they wake up, they think, okay, I now need to take the next step. I can use Excel to upload my product data to Amazon. I can explore AI and AI functionalities. I can just get started with downloading, well, signing up for Katana PIM. Who downloads a PIM nowadays? What would you recommend, or what are the trade-offs that you have to make as that e-commerce manager or IT manager or marketing manager?
By tomorrow, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking of that. I mean, yeah, specify yourself.
Yeah, no, so I mean, everyone has this deluge of emails coming in and fires that they need to put out, and everyone knows that they should get a better PIM in place or a better product information process, or get both or hire a new content manager or get a new PIM, right? So I think it comes down to what Emil was saying about capacity and capability. Like they know that they need to solve problems on both those.
Yeah.
Those
No, but I think if you already, because that was a little bit where I was looking for, if you know that you have to do it, then just do it, as simple as it sounds. And that's also what I say. Don't start in staying in the hassle of today, but think of where you want to be tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. And if you have decided on your digitalization strategy, okay, this is the next step, this is the next puzzle, then just go for it and do it. And I think that's the most important thing. If you're still thinking whether you should need a PIM or not, yeah, I think then we are in another discussion. But then it's interesting. Okay, do you experience all these things of inconsistency or selling different channels or whatever, as we mentioned today? Because yeah, if you don't feel the urgency, yeah, then it's not there. But I think nowadays, and almost every company is using technology to improve their strategy and to support the strategy. Yeah, then and if you're working with products, and it's garbage in is garbage out, so you can optimize, automate as much as you want, but you don't get all the revenues of it if you haven't your data in place.
Yeah.
And I think that that's very clear. And if you are aware of that, then it's just a fact of just doing it. And I understand that it's how do I say, the promise is of course on scaling up, so selling abroad, adding new sales channels, adding another marketplace to your sales strategy. But you also have to provide it with the right data, because then as we discussed today, you need to be consistent over all those channels, and you can't manage them all by hand. And then you're automatically be aware that you need that PIM, and then yeah, just do it.
Yeah, and I think as a kind of like as an e-commerce manager or someone that's responsible for most of the time that has a revenue target, as a company, if you're doing 100 million euros, and you at least need to do 20% online. Or what is the industry benchmark for your organization? If it's 20% and it's 20 million, and you're now doing less, then okay, then you have a certain ambition. So it starts with the person that's responsible for that online ambition. And then how we approach it is from two different sides. One is where to play, and the other is how to win. The where to play part is that we define for the brands that we work with, who's your target audience and on which channels are they? What are the most important channels? Where are they at the most? Which channels or which countries drive the most revenue, or what are the expectations? To get a list of where do you want to play, in which countries, which channels. And then the how to win part is consists out of a couple of pillars to win. And the first one is the operational excellence. And then you say like, okay, we have a target. We need to go to 20 million. We know in which countries and on which channels we can do that. And this is what we as a business need from an operational perspective. We need a good scalable infrastructure from logistics, finance, and content. We need these and these products from an assortment perspective. We need these more assets for organic performance, and I need 2 million marketing budget to push into ads. And then you have kind of like a whole story where kind of like the whole PIM and the content and the assets is an important part of to realize your targets and your ambition as an organization.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, what I hear you both say is basically you have to start building that engine tomorrow, and that engine brings together lots of different parts within the organization. Building that engine is the sort of foundation for future growth. It has that capacity, right? It needs the tooling, it needs the product data, it needs the people and the process. But to get that engine started, and it's a process, you need to keep that engine running during the whole life cycle of the company, and you might want to do some upgrades later on, because getting started is more important than getting the biggest engine in place from day one. But then getting that engine started might mean a lot of friction at the beginning, and to get that capacity all in place to, well, strategize on the different channels where you want to play, but also getting all the assets in order to translate all your product descriptions in French and German and English, but also maybe think about how you're going to win and strategize on how you're going to win on those different marketplaces and those different channels. That takes an upfront investment in capacity. And that's, I think, where the three of us come together to kickstart that engine and make sure you keep that engine running for the foreseeable future.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a nice summary, Stefan. Yeah.
I mean, I saw some people replying on some of the comments and parts of the conversation. I'm not sure if there's anyone with urgent questions left that they would like to share or put forward to us. And I would say to them, this is the time. So let us know. If you if you don't want to share your questions publicly, that's also fine. I shared Emil's and Luke's LinkedIn profiles in the chat previously. You can definitely find them on LinkedIn by yourself, I think, as well. I would say do reach out to them if you want to get that engine built and want to get that engine started. I think they're both open to create some time for you and answer your questions that you might have. And as we're coming up on time, I'm not sure, Luke, if you have any parting thoughts to share with the audience today.
No, I don't think so. Sorry.
No worries. Emil, any closing thoughts?
Well, I think you already did a nice summary of what we've talked about, being pragmatic and getting the whole organization involved, but also taking responsibility as a brand, as marketing and e-commerce working together. And yeah, what I always like is just being pragmatic. We had a client that had a product video from the US with a US text and US voice. And my colleague Linda, she's awesome with a lot of tools. I sent it to her. I said, hey, can you get this video, use your AI tools and knowledge? I don't know what you use, but can you get this into French? She was like, yeah, I can do that. And 1 or 2 hours later, she showed me the similar video with the voice in French, in German, text translated, etc., etc. So yeah, just be pragmatic. There are a lot of tools out there that can help you with doing so. So yeah, just have a look and be pragmatic about it.
Yeah, get started. And
Yeah, exactly. Get started and get things done.
All right, that is great. Those are great closing thoughts. Luke, Emil, thanks a lot for sharing your thoughts and your experience today. Thanks for your time. For the audience as well, thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us today, and hope to see you in one of our next webinars. Please feel free to follow us on LinkedIn and check out katanapim.com and 10xcrew.com if you want more information as well. And hope to see you in the next webinar. Until then, bye-bye.